Hi everyone and welcome to TV Connection. I'm Selena Lee and we have a very special guest here with us today. Professor Jeannie Sugg is the first tenured Asian American woman professor at Harvard Law School. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It's truly an honor to have you here with us, and I know you have a very busy schedule, so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I know that you graduated from Yale University and then got your PhD at Oxford, where you were a Marshall Scholar. Then went to Harvard Law School, clerked for the United States Supreme Court, and then became a tenured professor at Harvard Law only after 4 years of joining the faculty. So I'm just running out of breath just listing your accomplishments, but these are truly amazing achievements. But first of all, I'd like to learn about your childhood first. So you came to the United States at the age of 6 from Korea, studied ballet at the American School Ballet, and also studied piano at the Juilliard School. So you were artistically also very talented as well. So could you tell us about your childhood and what was your childhood dream?
So my family immigrated to the United States. We came to Queens when I was 6 years old. And my mother was very, very concerned that we learn various things that would make us into very well-rounded people. And so, of course, it was kind of a routine every day after school. My mother would take me and my sister to the library, and we would spend the afternoon there after school, and she would read her books, and we would read the books that we wanted to read, and so that was kind of the routine that we had. And also it was very important to her that we learned some music and dance. My aunt in Korea is a ballet dancer, and she's a professor of ballet.
Right?
And so we had the artistic element in the family through my aunt, and so my mother was very interested in having us learn that. And my sister also painted and drew, and so she had the sort of visual art part covered. And so it was. I think that the main idea was just to expose the children, to expose the family to multiple ways of seeing the world, and art is obviously the arts, performing arts and visual art. They were a very important part of that vision.
So it wasn't all about studying and academics, but it was, doing a lot of things that will expose you to many different things in the world.
I think that's right. Yeah. It was really, when I think about what went right in my education, it wasn't the principle that you study and sit at your desk, and it was really the idea that you have fun mastering a skill and learning things. And so the idea that we would go to the library and be told, well, you're free, you can read anything you want in this entire library, right? I think the idea is that my mother brought us to the opportunities, but once we were there, she gave us a lot of autonomy, so that we were able to actually think of those things as very fun.
So what did you want to be when you were, a child? Did you have when I grow up, I want to be this, something?
I'm sure that it changed a lot.
Of course.
When I first, my earliest memory is, of course, I wanted to be a doctor. My father was a doctor, and so I thought that that's what I would do. Then throughout elementary school and my earlier teenage years, I thought that I wanted to be a ballet dancer.
I see.
I was very obsessed with dance, and so that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then in college, it was in college that I realized that there were some things that I really loved. I loved reading. I loved reading novels. I loved reading poetry, and I loved words. I loved figuring out what words do, what they mean, how they actually produce meaning. And I think that relationship to words is what actually led me to the law.
I see.
Because law is ultimately a study of what words do, what words mean, how do we take words and make them actually do things in the world, right? So that when a judge says, you are sentenced to 10 years in prison, it actually has an effect in the world. And so I was fascinated by that relationship between how you take ideas, transform them into words, and then that actually has an effect. So I think that all of those things, and it still goes back to my sensitivity to the arts in the end.
So it kind of transitioned into how you decided to pursue law as a profession.
Yes, and I think some people have said to me, wow, ballet and music and then law, and it just seems so different, but I don't think of it that way.
So what do you think are some of the most important factors that contributed to your success?
I think having very supportive parents who were very, very supportive of things that me and my sister found interesting. Right? If my mother noticed that we enjoyed reading a certain kind of book, like an author, a certain author, then she would make a point of giving us more of that. So I think it was the combination of being very closely paid attention to in terms of our own interests. And I think that, again, as I said before, it's really about fun. It's about having fun with what you're doing. And even today in my job, the thing that I love most about it is how much I enjoy it.
Right.
And so that when I think, oh, I'm getting up this morning, I don't think I'm getting up this morning and I have to work for this many hours so that I can then have fun. I think, wow, I'm going to go to work and it's going to be enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, that's really important that you speak of that point, because I feel like a lot of people, young people and not so young people, think that job is a job. It's not supposed to be fun, and I'm just going to live my life to enjoy the weekend. And of course, they'll never be very best in what they do because they just don't enjoy it. And you provide a great example of how you can enjoy your work and have fun at the job, and which is why you're so successful. So,
well, I do think it's one of the things that I feel very lucky that I have found work that I love, but I don't think everybody has to have that relationship to work. I think that it is, for some people, work is not where they put where they invest their deepest dreams and energy, and for some people it's other things. Life is not only about work, but for some people like me, work is a site of great enjoyment, and so I think that it's a certain kind, and I think that it helps because I have a lot of autonomy in my job. I have a lot of freedom to explore the ideas that I want to explore. There is nobody telling me you have to think about this or you have to do that, and that helps a lot.
So you have achieved so much. So what still motivates you and drives you?
What still motivates and drives me? Well, it's, I don't feel that I've achieved so much. I feel that I am still relatively young. I'm at the beginning still of my career, and maybe I delude myself in thinking that I'm young at the beginning of my career. But yes, I feel very much like I'm still at the beginning of my career. I've just received tenure, and what that means for me is a new chapter of even more freedom. I've been very lucky in my work at Harvard Law School that I have felt very, very embraced and taken care of, and very encouraged and nurtured, and also very free. But I think that with tenure comes an extra level of freedom and also responsibility to my students and to the audience that I write for and the community. And so what drives me is really the feeling that there are new frontiers and new things to explore, and that it's ever increasing in terms of opportunities and also interests. Just that I can keep spending my life thinking about things I'm fascinated by, and then move on to other things that require my attention and other people's attention. That's what keeps me going.
So you're truly blessed to be able to do what you love, and and get paid for it, and also do something good for the students and the society as well.
I do feel very fortunate.
Yeah. So you're the first tenured Asian American woman professor at Harvard Law School, and for that you have given so much hope and served as an inspiration for so many young minority women out there. So what's your experience like being a woman in a heavily male-dominated profession?
Well, I don't for a second wish that I were a man. I love being a woman, and if it were less lopsided in terms of the numbers of women, that would be great. I think that would be great. And it just so happens that in my own situation, in my own workplace, it hasn't impeded my work. It hasn't impeded what I want to do and the enjoyment of my work to be one of the only minorities on my faculty. It has not damaged or harmed my work, my career, my ability to get what I want to get done. And I think I'm very fortunate in that regard. But it would be really nice, I think, if we had more women.
Right. Like for me, when I was in law school, having a woman dean and also having a female professor who I admired and looked up to made a tremendous difference.
Yes, and I would have to say those things were very important to me. I was hired under the first female dean of Harvard Law School, who was Elena Kagan, now Justice Elena Kagan.
That's right.
And then I was tenured under the second woman dean in the history of Harvard Law School, who was my current dean, Martha Minow. And both of those women, in addition to several other women professors at Harvard Law School while I was there, even though there were not that many women, they were very important mentors to me when I was a law student at Harvard.
So do you have any final words to share with our young Korean Americans who one day aspire to be as successful as you are?
I would say that if I had any advice that I would hope would be valuable, it really would be listen to what your true fascinations are. Listen to what you are interested in, right? Whether it be music or engineering or comic books or novels, poetry, whatever it is, you should listen to what it is you're interested in, because it's out of that feeling of joy, of learning and being engaged in something that's fascinating to you, that you can actually produce something and produce a life that will be rewarding and fulfilling.
I at one point read somewhere that in order to be really good at something, become a true expert, you have to spend 10,000 hours doing whatever that is. And can't imagine doing something for 10,000 hours if you don't really like it, right?
That's right.
I can see.
Yes, it does help tremendously if you like it.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. It was truly a pleasure and honor to have you here with us. And thank you especially for serving as such an inspiration for so many young people out there. And I'm sure a lot of people after watching this program today will want to follow your footsteps and work very hard like you did yourself to be the best they can be in doing what they love. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank our guest, Professor Jeannie Suk, for sharing her stories with us. I hope you're as inspired as I was, and I hope all of you can follow your own dreams and passions in your lives. I'm Selena Lee, and it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.